weirdness thing. So that stop broadcast button you'll want to hit when you're done. Yeah. And now you can just.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have much time because I want to share a lot of things today. So let's start. Do you hear me well? Okay, let's go. Today, my session will be about entity references and the method of component-based site builder using entity references in Drupal core. First of all, let me to present myself a little bit. My name is Anton, and initially I studied computational cybernetics and user experience design in the university, and which makes me a successful product manager in the end. Here I'm on behalf of Wandros company located in Switzerland. We're doing different stuff for websites, product strategy, branding, marketing, everything. Thanks for them for letting me today here. And let me to read about it right now. Okay. My session will be three parts. At the beginning, we will talk about the concept at all, how things are structured, and what's behind of this implementation and methodology. Later, we will talk. We will see real demonstration of how we can use inline entity forms and entity references to build really flexible content on our website. I will show you a big picture, the whole Drupal architecture built on top of entity references, entities, and contribution modules, extending entities and references. So let's start from the concept itself. And the best thing to demonstrate the concept is an example. Let's take this conference website. It's pretty representative for things we are going to talk today. It's a kind of landing page containing a lot of components and content in various layouts. So let's go component by component from top to bottom. At the top of the page, we have a global header, which persists only on the front page. We also have a primary navigation bar, which persists throughout the website. So this is a global component that forms our global layout. In the bottom, we have a main content region, which contains various objects, such as block, subscribe to conference updates block, and so on. And you can see that Design Meets Innovation section contains this placeholder, which can contain various data inside. So I just trying to say that the main content is not static here. We even on this screen we have objects, some data, some semantic objects here. Inside this placeholder, we have tabbed content, so several tabs containing various content in it. And each tab contains its own object containing some simple content, kind of fields. So if to talk in relation to Drupal, what is it? Simple content is just fields in our Drupal system. In terms of atomic design, this is atoms. So this is pieces of content which can construct more complex structures, kind of objects. So objects can be represented as a molecule in Drupal world with this kind of entities through our website. But let's think about this section, tabbed content. What is it? Is it an object, or is it an atom, or field or entity, what is it? The first thought which can arrive is that this is kind of an entity, kind of a molecule containing various fields. But that's not correct, because this placeholder is not atomic content. It can contain various content. We couldn't guarantee that it's just a field of a particular type, because we can want to place an image or text, or doesn't matter. So semantically, this component is not just an object, it's not just a field, it's something different. In the atomic design, there is a term for that, it calls organisms. So organisms is something self-contained large object containing another objects and simple atomic fields. Currently in Drupal, we don't have special mechanism for such kind of things. We can create entities with ease, we can manage fields on our entities, but there is no way, there is no simple way to create complex structures, kind of organisms. Of course, we have a lot of contribution models here, and so on, but anyway, where only it solves one particular problem, but still there is no way to create content of any structures, kind of organisms. And that's why it's so difficult for us from time to time to create flexible content, because there is no straightforward way to do that. And we will try to find it today. So let's go in the reverse order. Now we have a main content block containing several organisms inside it. And this main content region is also organism containing another two objects. So you can see that it's repeated from time to time. When we are thinking about the structure of content, we can break down it to atomic fields and molecules. But in the end, the key layer in the site building strategy is these kind of organisms. So we can easily combine different parts together to create really flexible content of any structure. Of course, we have a global header, but it's simple. We have a layout builder of region and blocks, and we can easily manage stuff like that without simple layout builder in core. So the whole thing about this example page can be represented on this slide. We have a stack of our content. On the most, on the top of it, it's a layout. It's a global layout represented by blocks. On the bottom of it, it's atomic data represented by fields, which can be grouped together into entities, kind of molecules. But the key level of site building is still missing. That's why, as I said before, it's really hard to create flexible content on our website. When I started think about all of that stuff and realized that atomic design is already in Drupal, actually. Just look on this slide. We already have blocks for manipulating global layout. We already have fields and entities to construct the bottom layers of atomic design. And it gives us real power, but we just need one small gear in this whole mechanism to create a really powerful building tool. That's why I started experimenting, and in the end I created this small module which is built on top of entity references and inline entity form, and it gives us an opportunity to create an organisms from entities and layouts. So this module can be treated as this intermediate layer in atomic design system, and if to think about the whole site, the whole architecture in this way, we can get really impressive results. That's why where is time for demo. Okay, this is a simple standard Drupal installation. Let's quickly go through it, and I will show what's installed and how it's configured right now. And then we will try to build several pages. The key modules here are entity construction kit. Actually, it doesn't matter which entity provider we will use. We can use paragraphs. We can even use blocks, which today in core. But the entity construction kit has a really useful user interface where we can create new entity types and bundles just in admin interface. That's why I used it for the demonstration. Also, we have bricks here. Bricks, which is a small widget and field, which extended from standard entity reference and which allows you to structures of another entities and store in a single field. And of course, we have inline entity form here, which will allow us to edit our entities right on the node edit page without going to the separate pages like paragraphs do. So let's go to the structure. It's really important to understand what's happened. We have several blocks, actually just 4 blocks. All other blocks are disabled. We have a main content block, which will hold our most important content on the page. We have a tabs system block, which will just give us links for editing pages. And we have a navigation bar, which is our primary navigation, which is persists through our website and which is the same. And we have a hero block. It will be only, it will contain just a hero component. But the most interesting part will be inside the main page content. Let's go to the ECK administration section. Here we have a single entity type of type basic, and we have several bundles pre-created. Image is a simple bundle with only a single field image. The same text has only one field. Image set is multiple images. Generic is a powerful thing. It consists of title, image, link, and text. And later we can in different ways. And we have a layout bundle. This is a special bundle which allows us to use layout API right in the node building interface. What about content types? We have 2 standard content types, but that's not that interesting. And we have ECK content type. It's automatically created while installing Bricks module. It just contains the single field of type Bricks. And internally, this is a simply entity reference to our ECK entity types. So in this field, we can just reuse all of the bundles I just showed you before. Okay, let's go for the demo, and it will be more easier to understand what happens in the system when we start building the page. This is a standard node creation form. It consists of standard fields and our body field. It's an inline entity form, widget, and Bricks field behind it. Again, it uses a simply entity reference field and widget. The only difference is the ability to nest in Viz UI. Okay, let's try to create a conference front page. Here we have several blocks. First of them is design meets innovation. Let's create it. To create a block, we simply select a bundle and click create button. Line entity forms will fire up, and we can put our content here. We will use text field for the description, and we will use an image field for storing the icon. Okay, I just created one entity of type ECK generic, and if we save a page, we will see the content is here. Navigation bar, I just copy-pasted the markup from original website in the block layout. So let's create one more section here, so it will become more complicated. Let's create this one. Let it be also generic. We copy-paste a description, and we would like to have this button. So we have a link field for that. And title, sign up. Okay. Okay, now we have two widgets here. Now we have two widgets here. One is for first region and another is for second region. And it's rendered without any design yet. So what we have to do now? We have a content, but we don't have design yet. So the next thing we would like to do is to create several view modes. And structure section of the administrative interface in the view mode section. It's a standard Drupal mechanism for giving our entities a different output. So for our basic ECK entities, I created several view modes. Let's start from the Stripe view mode. Stripe is just a horizontal region like this blue block here. And Bricks gives us an opportunity to select a view mode for each referenced entity here. So if we select Stripe for first one and Stripe for second one, we are rendered as stripes. The flexibility of view modes is that you can do at least two things. You can create a custom template for each view mode, and you also can configure how to render fields in each view mode. So you can use the same entities with completely different results. I will show you a little bit later what can be achieved with that. Okay, now we have two stripes, but a second stripe is different. It's kind of call out. It's have a background and button and so on. That's why I created another view mode stripe action. And if you change it, its template is changed. If you look at the Twig templates, it's pretty simple. Actually, here you can see the name of the template. It's just a standard entities naming standard. So you can just name the file properly, like entity type, entity bundle, and view mode, and Drupal will take the proper template. So for Stripe template, for simple Stripe view mode, we have one template, and for Stripe action view mode, we have a little bit different template. But both templates are quite small, just 8 lines of code, and that's it. Okay, what we have? We have generic. We have 2 view modes, and we can create any stripes we want here, and to give them a different output. Let's go deeper. Here you can see that we have multiple tabs inside first section. What we can do? We have 2 options here. We can create a separate component, like a CK bundle of type tabs, for example, or we can use layout API power here. Let's try with layout API. What we need to do now, we need to create or add existing layout entity here and select layout tabs. This is the functionality of layout discovery module, which is included in Drupal core now. Here you can just select any of registered layouts. I created my own layout in the theme. It just specifies the name of layout, the category, the template name, and regions. And we have a simple template. Here it is. It just renders each region and puts every tab on the top of the component. So let's place the layout inside entity. Here you can see that we can not just rearrange entities, we can put one entities inside another entities, like we do for menu items or taxonomy terms. And this small thing gives us all this flexibility. So here I just put a layout entity inside generic design meets innovation entity. But we need content for our tabs. Let's create some content. An example, general info. We will use generic component as well, because it suits our needs. It has title, general info, description, and we can upload an image. Okay, we created our entity. Now we should put it inside our layout components, like here. Now you can see we have 2 levels of nesting. We have highest level generic widget, design meets innovation. We have layout entity inside it, and we have general info inside layout entity. So it's kind of a tree. And we would like to output our general info as an image on the left view mode. It has a different template which renders image on the left. Now we should see the tabs, one tab, and entity inside it. If we will change the view mode of general info entity, for example, to default, we will see simple content without any design. And when we switch it to particular view mode, we get particular output for this entity. In the same way, we can create 2 more tabs. I will add existing ones since I already tested it. Sessions. And sponsors. I can create new entities here, and I can also search for existing entities right here. This is one of advantage from paragraphs, for example, just provided for us by inline entity form for free. So okay, let's put sponsors, sessions, and general info inside layout tabs inside first stripe, and let's give them some view modes. And yeah, we have 3 tabs. We can switch via them. And what's cool about it, it's a simple interface. You can see internal structure of our page. It's quite simple because it contains only draggable components. We can, for example, reorder tabs easily here. Or what we can do, we can convert any tab inside its own stripe with ease, since this is the same type, generic, and the only difference between content inside tab and separate stripe is just view mode. So what we can do now, we can put any of our entity outside of this structure and give it stripe view mode. Get a separate stripe for our entity. So it's kind of constructor, it's kind of Lego bricks. We can create anything. It's just a drag and drop interface and constructor of view modes, bundles, and templates. You can create your own templates, you can create your own bundles, you can create your own structures of all of this stuff. That's why it's kind of organisms, and it's really flexible when you're building flexible content, landing pages, and so on. Let me to show you a full example created during my flight here. Here is a home page. Yeah. Okay, let's look on the original website. And what we have here, hero block, navigation bar block, information section, subscribe to conference update section, keynote section, ticket section, and so on and so on. And on this page, we have everything of these components, but internally it's represented as a single treeable field of type entity reference. Everything here is entity, everything here has its own view mode, everything here has its own template and can be easily changed and rearranged. So for example, you can see here we have 2 profile cards on the keynote section, and we have 2 tickets on the ticket section. For that, I created 2 view modes. As you can expect, one is a profile and another is a card view mode. And again, we will also use generic widget here. So for example, what we can do now, we can convert a profile to card, and we will have a little bit different interface like this one. But again, it's so easy to rearrange the layout and structure of this page. We can put this profile outside of layout and get it its own stripe. So now we have an additional stripe with a user profile. And you see that we have so much flexibility here, but it's so simple. It's just entities, bundles, remotes, and templates. And possible because of this table drag user interface, which gives us an ability to create these organisms for our website. This is just an example how it could be achieved, but it's up to you how to configure all of this stuff, because in your particular project, for your particular content writers. Could be better not to use generics, for example, or create a separate entity types for profiles and for ticket packages, for example. But anyway, it's doesn't require any other additional configuration or installation. It's a minimalistic set of modules which gives you a power of atomic design right in Drupal and using native Drupal mechanisms. We can control additional things here. We started from a view mode, and we also have CSS class option here. So you can give each entity its own utility CSS class. It could be convenient when you don't want to change the output in a huge way, but you just want to modify it a little bit, like you want to change background color. And you can see here that we have a card primary CSS class on the general admission package card, and we have a CTA secondary CSS modifier and register for Drupal section. So in the end, it looks like, for example, this is our action stripe, and this is the same action stripe, but with a CSS modifier, which will change background. So this is additional layer of customization. So you could give our components different output just with CSS classes. Again, bundles, view modes, templates, CSS classes. Let me to go through this page completely and to show what used here. Design meets innovation, you already know. What is it? Several stripes. And layout, it's interesting. We used tabs layout before, and here we can use two-column layout. It's the same thing, but it's just a different template, and we can reuse it through our website. We use it for outputting two user profiles on the left and on the right, and we also use it for outputting the ticket packages. We use a different components inside this layout, but layout is the same. It's just two columns with gutter. And in the bottom, we have a thanks to our sponsor section containing two image set components. Each image set component is just a set of images. The first one is Redfin Solutions, and the second one is Aware and Lascaux Media. Again, it's the same concept. We just give them a view mode of logotypes. You get the output we need. So I created this page for 3 or 4 hours during my flights, and I find it a really great result which describes the power of this concept. And we can use the same things without any panels and additional stuff, and it gives us freedom to create the tool for our website. This is an only single page, but we are not limited in any way to create more pages because we already have a set of components, and we can reuse the data and the layouts and the view modes through our website. That's why if you create a new page, for example, by default, it just contains a global block here, and you can create your own. For example, I created a simple page for Bricks module itself using the same components like we did a landing page of the conference website. Here, how it looks. You can see the same components with our stripe without two-column layout grid, and 4 generics inside it, and finally 1 generic more. Internally, this page is really simple. It contains just 7 or 8 components, and the same components, and no customization here. The page is completely different, but it contains the same components. So that's why it's so easy to create new pages on top of this architecture. Okay, let me briefly repeat. This concept is based on Drupal 8 entity reference, which is in core now. It also uses layout API, opportunity to reuse the layouts without any content. So you can arrange your content represented by entities inside layouts, kind of tabs or columns or so on. We also use line entity form for inline editing of referenced entities, and entity construction kit as an example of content provider for us. Again, we can use paragraphs or our custom entities or nodes or users or terms, doesn't matter. Entity reference, bless on you. Summarizing up, it's a really simple setup. It's just 3 or 4 contribution models and standard Drupal installation, and it gives us really a real power of atomic design right in core. Why? Because we solve a single and the most important question: how to create organisms. And let's continue to the slides. Summarizing up, I would like to talk a bit about a big picture, about what we can achieve and create using this simple but powerful concept. Okay, what we have when creating a content strategy or site architecture for our website. First of all, we have a content. Ideally, it should be a semantic content. The content in Drupal is represented by entities and fields. Entities can be provided by ECK, paragraphs, custom blocks, or any other entity types, such as users, taxonomy terms, and so on. And fields, of course. Entities have fields, and fields are simple atomic pieces of content which provided by core, and the huge amount of them, and by contribution models, of course. We have the ability to create text fields, file fields, image fields, link fields, and so on and so on. And we need some things, some building blocks to put our semantic content in the structure we want to represent this content to our site visitors. And for this, we have a block layout, which will allow us to arrange a global layout on our website. We have a field layout, which allows us to configure how each entity will output its fields. We can do it via user interface using field layout, or we can do it directly via template file, as before. Of course, we have entity reference, which allows us to reference one content from another content, or using bricks, you can reference all content on your website to create a layout of any structure, layouts and entities in a single organism structure. We also have bundles and view modes, which gives us a flexibility to output the same things differently. And we have these small CSS modifiers, which allows us to customize the output a little bit. So we have a content, we have a building blocks, and the only thing we need is the reusable templates. So on the bottom of the content and building blocks is a template stuff. So here we have a trick, of course, which is a really powerful thing for outputting our fields and entities. Recently integrated in Drupal core is a layout API, which allows us to make an abstraction layer from a twig templates. So you can, for example, create a layout once and to use it throughout website in different things. You can output fields, you can output blocks, and using bricks you can output using layouts. And it also gives us an ability to integrate our existing website setup with external component libraries like Fractal and Pattern Lab using UI patterns module. So it's a really simple thing. We have an external component library, say Fractal. It has its own interface, set of components, and each component has its own interface. And the UI patterns module provides this interface as a layout API to Drupal, and when we can use layout API through our website. So in other words, we can use any component from external component library as a layout in our website. It's really powerful because you can create components externally without Drupal, and when you can integrate these components in Drupal with ease, with layout API power. So what was my session about in the whole? It's about site building. So we have building blocks, which allows us to create the sites of any structures and pages and content of any structure. It's about content editing, because once you create a building blocks and you define your project architecture, it's time to fill content in these building blocks. And of course, theming, because under everything we created, we have a theming layer, which will give our website the final look and feel. Here is a roadmap which I would like to work on next. So one great addition which we implemented in Drupal 7 is contextual links. So it will simply allow you to edit any content on the page using contextual links menu. It's really flexible. When you building a page from entities, each entity has its own. Hover the mouse pointer on any part of your content and you can edit it via this menu. Better editing UX means improving with table drag UI in terms of, for example, large pages. When you have a lot of components, 20 or 30, it could be not that convenient to manipulate such a big structure. For example, sometimes you can create, you would like to create a component inside the structure, not in the bottom. And other improvements here, like entity reference preview, when you can preview what you built, not saving the whole page. And sometimes it's more convenient to edit not in line, but in the model window. So your initial structure you created doesn't change, and you see what you initially created. And you edit the content separately from the page structure. Entity browser will allow us not to just search entities through a text search, but to select them via convenient browser. Content moderation will help with workflows and revisions. So when you have a new revision, you can also synchronize these revisions with referenced entities revisions. And you can create a drafts for all of your entities. Quick Edit is a more advanced version of contextual links. It should allow you to edit content right inside the page without going to admin interface. Dynamic entity reference will allow you to reference to entities of any types, because currently in Drupal core, entity reference is limited to only a single entity type, for example, to ECK or paragraphs or so on. But with dynamic entity reference, you can reference anything. For example, you can file, you can embed taxonomy term and node and so on in a single field. And finally, we started to work on distribution based on Fractal component library. So you can quickly start building your website with external component library. So in the end, what was my goal? My goal was to give all of us a way of building your own way of building your website. Sorry for so many building words here, but just look, you can create your own workflow. You can define your own components. You can define your own view modes again and again. And it's really flexible, not just flexible way of building, but flexible way of content editing and theming as well. If you liked the concept and you see that you can benefit from it, I'm calling you to join this initiative, to follow the project updates, to try yourself. There is a simple demonstration available on the project page. And of course, it would be great if you will support the project by sharing on Twitter and Facebook and so on. You can start it on the Drupal.org. It will help other people to find it and to their needs for web projects. And I would like to say thanks to all of you for attention. And if you have any questions, it's a good time to ask. And finally, before we start the question session, I would like to make an announcement. If you are going to create a new website, or if you are going to rebuild your existing website, email to me with a website link or with sketches, and we can create a content strategy together. So I can show you what I mean. Here is a site architecture strategy for one of the sites which is going to use Bricks. So here we defined a set of components, view modes, which best fits of this particular design needs. We also give examples. We also have here layouts and several examples of composition. So if you are going to try Bricks, or if you are going to rebuild your website, we can work together to create a document like this. It took not about 1 or 2 hours. So I'm going to attend to contribution sprints on Sunday, and it's a good time to reach me, and we can work together on your website architecture. Or you can do it anytime later, simply drop an email to me. That's it. Thank you. And if anyone have questions, come on. Sure.
I got one. Should do it here. Yeah. Okay. I noticed that your Twix file with all the templates, is that the template directory for the theme, or is that a special template directory specific for Twix?
No. Everything I showed today, it's just a single theme, which contains a templates directory with our templates for these bundles we have, and layouts also live here. Because it's a single folder, it's served with standard theming mechanism, But of course, you can create modules, for example, and put templates in modules to use through our different websites with different themes.
And is that theme part of Bricks or is any?
No. This theme called D4D, I just created it during the flight yesterday. Okay, any other questions? Sure.
There was something I missed when you were talking about, you were kind of summarizing the approach. You said that you entity reference, which is in core, layout API, inline entity form, and there were like maybe a couple others I missed.
You mean this? You mean this slide?
The one before that.
Oh, it should be here. Anyway, I will post the slides on the session page. You can download, or you can just drop me an email, and I will give you any information. Okay, probably we can create some more demonstration if you want, right from the session or on the sprints. Any questions so far? Okay, if you will have one, just reach me and ask. I'm always happy to help you in your content strategy. And I'm always curious about the using of entity references and different ways of making things with them. Thank you, all of you. And come on sprints on Sunday and have a nice conference day tomorrow.